Hello, good morning students. Today we can start with another system, that is cardiovascular system. Your first year you studied about the anatomy and physiology of cardiovascular system. Among this topic, today we can deal with arrhythmia. Before studying the arrhythmia, we can just revise some anatomy and physiology of the heart. The same way you can revise the ECG also. So we can start with the conduction system of heart. As you all know, the conduction system. We just see the PowerPoint, the picture. That is the SA sinoatrial node, SA node. That is the pacemaker of heart. Then comes atrioventricular node, AV node. Then atrioventricular AV bundle or bundle is there. Then comes left and right bundle, branches are there. Now comes the Purkinje fibers. You can just see this diagram and you can understand the conduction system of the heart. And you just go and refer your physiology classes. You see the physiology book and try to understand the conduction system of the heart. Thinking about the SA node is a spindle-shaped 10 to 12 millimeter long and usually 1 millimeter thick that is situated in the subepicardium at the lateral junction of the superior vena cava and right atrium. That's about the SA node. Then blood supply to the SA node, that is sinus nodal artery supplies blood to SA node, which arises from the proximal RCA in 55 to 60%. Then from histologically the sinus, we can just see the sinus node, that is of P cells are there, then transitional cells are there, atrial muscle cells are there in sinus node. This about the sinus node. Now next node is AV node. AV node, that is smaller overt structure, smaller than the SA node. The measuring 1 into 3 into 5 mm lies just beneath the right atrial posterior epicardium, anterior to the osteocoronary sinus and directly above the insertion of the septal leaflet of the tricuspid valve. So you can see the diagram and understand about the AV node. AV node blood supply, that is through the AV nodal artery, but that also a branch of RCA. Then histologically, it has 4 types of cells, the same way P cells, transitional cells, atrial myocardial cells and Purkinje cells. Then about the electrophysiology, AV node is divided into 3 regions, AN region, N region and NH region. This also you can see in that diagram. Then bundle of His. It is a convex distal continuation of the AV node measuring 20 mm in length and up to 2 mm in diameter. It is anatomically subdivided into 3 portions. The bundle of His, that is proximal, non-penetrating, then middle penetrating and distal branching portion. Proximal, non-penetrating, middle penetrating and distal branching portion. Then next we can see about the bundle branches, that is left bundle branch is there, right bundle branch is there, anterior superior vesicle and posterior inferior vesicle for the left bundle branch. This about the nodes of this cardiac nodes, AV node, SA node, AV node, bundle of His and Purkinje fibers. Now we can see about the myocardial cells. Just an overview only about the cardiac muscle structure. There is intercalated disc are anchoring structures containing gap junctions. Intercalated disc. Just see the picture and understand this is of intercalated disc. Then cardiac muscle cells are faintly striated and branching mononucleated cells which connect by means of intercalated disc to form a functional network. See the diagram. Then the action potential travels through all the cells connected together forming a functional system in which the cells function as a unit. This is about the myocardial cells. Understand and just see the junctions, gap junctions, observe the gap junctions, the muscle cells and this is about the myocardial cells. Now we can see about the action potentials, action potential of the physiology of the myocardial cells. Thinking about the action potential, there is a representation of an action potential. There is a picture that is representing the action potential. You can see it's noted from minus 122 plus 30 in one way, and the other way you can see EM is there, ET is there, action potential, the different phases all mentioned this picture. I will explain. The myocardial action potential, the representation of an action potential means in ventricular myocardial cells you can see in this particular picture. An action potential is generated when membrane potential is partially depolarized from the resting level EM. Here it is written as EM, see the diagram, that is the resting potential. From the resting potential it reaches the ET, the threshold potential. Action potential is generated when the membrane potential is partially depolarized from the resting level to the threshold potential ET. The ensuing rapid phase zero phase, first phase is zero phase, that denotes the depolarization that is mediated by sodium entry into the cells. That is due to a marked increase in the number of open sodium channels in the cell membrane. That is sodium entry, it says. Here, the cardiac electrophysiology. See the diagram, cardiac electrophysiology involves studying the electrical impulses and their conduction across atria and throughout the ventricles to provide power and coordination for the cardiac cycle. Cardiac electrophysiology, if you are studying, then only we can understand about the cardiac conduction system. The same way, muscle contraction and all we can understand by studying the cardiac electrophysiology. Electrical impulses that is created by ion exchange. Exchange of ion in the mechanical or muscle cells generates electrical activity. At rest, the muscle has slightly more positive sodium and calcium ions on the outside of the cells and more negative ions inside the cells. That is resting membrane potential or polarization. So, in resting membrane potential, outside of the cell more positive and inside of the cell what is there? There are more negative ions are there inside of the cells. So, potassium is the most prevalent intracellular ion. Potassium is considered to be the most prevalent intracellular ion. The resting cells have threshold of or activation based on the difference in the ion concentrations. That is action potential. Difference in ion concentrations. Stimulating of a cardiac muscle cell or depolarization is created by rapid influx of sodium followed by a slower influx of calcium into the cells. So you can see rapid influx of sodium followed by a slower influx of calcium into the cells. Rapid phase zero depolarization, you can see in this diagram, is mediated by sodium entry into the cells due to a marked increase in the number of open sodium channels in the cell membrane. Then same along with that sodium, what else entering? Calcium also entering. Then normally the influx is followed by muscle contraction. Then after influx, that is followed by a muscle contraction. The cell respond to the influx by potassium diffusing out of the cell to help rebalance the positive ions. Potassium give out of the cells to rebalance the positive ions. That is early repolarization and Then comes the plateau phase. Potassium is going out. Then you can see in that diagram repolarization in phases 1 and 3 that result from potassium exit from the cells as the sodium channels are closed and potassium channels are opened. See the phase 1 and 3, that is of repolarization. Repolarization in phase 1 and 3. Depolarization 0 phase, then 1 and 3 declining repolarization is there. But sodium channels are closed and potassium channels are opened. The phase 2 plateau reflects the slow entry of calcium into the cells. Phase 2 you see 1 and 3 repolarization. 2 means reflects a slow entry of calcium into the cells, which counteracts the effect of potassium exit. You already told sodium is entering, the same way calcium also entering. Then the calcium entry in phase 2, that's why it counteracts effect of potassium exit. Then the cells that will respond to the influx of potassium diffusing out of the cell to help the rebalance the positive ions. That is the early repolarization and plateau phase. That will happen on both the sides of the membrane. A slower efflux of that is followed by a rapid efflux of potassium, that is of rapid repolarization. First it will start with a slow efflux and then it will start with a rapid efflux, that is called the rapid repolarization. Then finally the sodium potassium pump will get activated. For that we can say phase 2 I told, that is of plateau phase due to the calcium entry. Then the sodium levels and potassium, sodium and potassium that re-enters the cell during the phase 4. That is the last phase, phase 4. Sodium potassium pump must activate, fully rebalance the electrical potential of the cell, restore the ions to their original position and achieve the resting membrane potential or polarization. That of this diagram, the action potential. We must be thorough about this action potential in order to understand about the electrical conduction system, in order to understand the arrhythmias, different types of arrhythmias, or in order to understand the arrhythmia pathogenesis, the action potential is very important. Next, we can move to normal ECG. What's of normal ECG? You just see the diagram. You already studied the ECG also. The P wave, QRS complex, T wave, T segment, U wave. These all included in this ECG. Normal ECG. One by one we can see. First we can see an ECG paper. ECG paper horizontally, one small box that is of 0.04 second and one large box that indicates 0.20 second. Vertically, one small box that is of 0.1 MV and one large box that is of 0.5 megavolt. This is about the ECG paper. Just see the diagram. Now types of ECG and all, you know that 12 lead ECG is there. You just see about the 12 lead, different types, leads and all, you know about the leads and all. Now a 12 conventional ECG leads record the difference in potential between electrodes placed on the surface of the body. These leads are divided into two groups, 6 extremity, that is 6 limb leads, and 6 chest precordial leads, like that it is divided. The extremity leads record potentials transmitted onto the frontal plane, and the chest leads record the potentials transmitted onto the horizontal plane. Together, the frontal and horizontal plane electrodes provide a three-dimensional representation of cardiac electrical activity, that is of a 12 lead ECG. Now we just see about the limb leads. The 6 estimative leads are further subdivided into 3 bipolar leads, that of 1, 2 and 3, and 3 unipolar leads, that's of AVR, AVL and AVF. It's all clear for you. Then bipolar leads. Each bipolar lead measures the difference in potential between electrodes at two extremities. Lead, think about the lead one. Lead one, left arm positive pole, that's right arm negative for voltage. Then lead 2, see the diagram, left leg positive pole, right arm negative pole. And lead 3, that's left leg positive pole and left arm negative pole. Then leads in routine ECG, we can see leads in routine ECG. Lead 1 and AVL are oriented to left lateral wall. Left lateral wall leads 1 and AVL. Lead 2, lead 3 and AVF are oriented to inferior surface of the heart, and leads V1, V2 are oriented to right ventricle. V4 to V6 oriented to left ventricle, and leads V1 to V4 are considered to be anterior septal leads. Leads V5 and V6 are considered to be apical or lateral leads. There is no lead which is oriented directly to the posterior wall of the heart. This about leads in routine ECG, what we are seeing there in hospitals, the routine ECG leads. Now, we can see about the electrocardiographic grid, that is the electrocardiographic paper on which his ECG is recorded is a graph paper with horizontal and vertical lines present at 1 millimeter intervals. A heavier line is present at every 5 mm large square. The time is measured along the horizontal line. 1 mm is equal to 0.05 second and 5 mm is equal to 0.20 second, and every 15th large square a 3-second period is marked by a vertical line on the upper border of quick assessment of the heart. This is about the electrocardiograph grid paper. Then voltage is measured along the vertical line. This is equal to 10 mm is equal to 1 megavolt. Then for routine ECG, the recording speed is 25 mm per second with usual standardization producing 1 centimeter or 10 mm deflection with the 1 megavolt signal. That's of the electrocardiographic grid. By observing this grid, this paper, you can understand everything. Now we can see about the nurse's role while recording the ECG in short. The procedure should be explained to the patient. Good contact between the skin and the electrode. There should be good contact. For that we are using paste. The patient and the machine must be properly grounded to avoid alternating current interference. The machine must be properly standardized so that 1 megavolt will produce a deflection of 1 centimeter. Any electronic equipment can produce artifact in the ECG, hence they should not come in contact with the patient. Then just one more, you see a normal electrocardiograph picture. I have sent that picture. Now in that, observing that picture, we can just discuss about the waves. First comes the P wave. It is the first deflection of the ECG, which is small, smooth and rounded. That is a P wave. Observe the paper diagram. Then Q wave. All the 3 waves of QRS complex are due to ventricular depolarizations. Q wave, then R wave. It is the first positive deflection during ventricular depolarization. R wave, it is negative deflection of ventricular depolarization that follows the first positive deflection R with the duration of 0.01 to 0.2 second. Then again, R wave, it is the second positive deflection that may occur during ventricular depolarization following the S wave. Then that next one is T wave. It is the deflection produced by ventricular repolarization and coincides with a closure of the semilunar valve. This is about the, then comes the U wave. It follows the T wave preceding the next P wave. Then TA wave. It is usually a small negative deflection following P wave due to atrial repolarization, which is not usually seen in a standard 12-lead ECG. This about the waves. Once more, you just observe the diagram and understand the waves. P wave, QRS complex, then T wave, S wave, and all you can understand. Now, after waves we can move to intervals. First comes the RR interval. Is the distance between the two consecutive R waves. Then PP interval is the distance between the two consecutive P waves. PR interval is measured from the onset of P wave to the beginning of the QRS complex. Now again, QRS interval, duration of QRS complex is measured from the onset of the QQ wave or R wave if Q wave is not seen from the R wave to the termination of the S wave. Q wave to S wave. If Q wave is not there, R wave to S wave. That is a QRS interval. Then QT interval is measured from the onset of Q wave to the end of the T wave. Now, the segment, PR segment is a portion of the ECG tracing from the end of the P wave to the onset of the QRS complex and normally is isoelectric. Then, ST segment is the portion of the ECG tracing that lies between the end of the QRS complex and the beginning of the T wave. Now, about the electrical axis. We can think about the electrical axis. Just see the electrical axis in diagram. In Doven's triangle, this you can see the lead 1, lead 2, lead 3, AVR, AVL, AVF. Then that circle you can see the axis is AVR, AVL 1, 2, AVF 3. Like that the circle is there. That circle also you can see methods of determination of the electrical axis using the leads 1 and AVF. The axis can be calculated to within 1 of 4 quadrant at a glance. That's the method of determining the electrical axis. If the axis is in the left quadrant, take your second glance at a lead 2. That only. Otherwise, you can use only 2 leads, lead 1 and AVF. Both 1 and AVF positive means it's of in normal axis. See the diagram. Both 1 and AVF is negative means axis in the northwest territory, and lead 1 is negative and AVF is positive means right axis deviation. Lead 1 is positive and AVF is negative means can be if lead 2 is positive, that's of in a normal axis. Lead 2 is negative, left axis deviation is there. This is the method of determination of electrical axis. You can just observe the diagram and you can understand. Now see one more diagram of 12 lead ECG. This about ECG.